لما قررت إنه ساوي هذا القناة، أول اقتراح إجاني إنه بليز ركزي على الصحة النفسية، لأنه كتير ناس عم بيعانوا، حتى اللي موجودين بسوريا عم بيقولوا إنه وين ما منروح كل واحد مكتئب، واللي طلعوا من البلد كمان حاسين بضيعان وإنه هن عايشين بقلق وتوتر وفاقدين أمل. جزء كبير من هذا القناة بده يكون موجه للصحة النفسية، كيف نحن بنقدر نساعد بعض إنه نريح بعض، نعالج بعض، نخفف أزمة هالمرض النفسي. اليوم عزمت واحد من الأكبر العلماء بالعلم النفس اللي هو دكتور جيفري كوتلر. صار له أكثر من 45 سنة بهالمجال، بروفيسور البروفيسورية، هو بيعلم البروفيسورية كيف هن يقدروا يعلموا. هو بيروح من بلد لبلد، من تركيا لليونان، مشان يساعد اللاجئين، وهلا هو بتكساس، هو مرته كمان عم بيساعدوا. صدف انه هو هلا ساكن بتكساس بس كان بكاليفورنيا على مؤتمر، وترجيته انه هو يساعد انه يساوي هالحلقة. طبعا بدي يساوي لهم عزيمة سيران سوري شرقي أصلي، وهي بتقدروا تشوفوا الصفرة اللي سويت لهم اياها المجدرة والفاصولية بزيت والانجينار. حبيت اعطيه جزء من انه نحن عم نغذيه، هو عم بغذينا على الطريقة السورية. شو يعني؟ اتس اوكي، معلش. نقدر نفتخر بالشغلات الأصيلة اللي نحن بنعرفها، اللي بنحبها وبنعزها، وهو بيقدر يعطينا هالجواهر اللي مهمة كتير مشان يساعدونا نحن نساعد بعض. واليوم بالحلقة كتير ممكن تستفيدوا، إن شاء الله تستفيدوا، إن شاء الله يعجبكم. ونذكر إنه مفتاح النفسية موجود فينا، بس لازم نبرمه شوي. يلا شاركونا. ماني مصدقة إنه أعزمكم اليوم مشان تسمعوا شو دكتور جيفري كوتلر عنده بقلبه وحابب يشاركنا فيه. So, Dr. Jeffrey Kottler, I am beyond honored that you have scheduled this interview with me. On behalf of the Syrians, we all thank you.
Well, Suhein, I'm honored. I mean, there's never been a time in human history where it's been more important to talk about the dispossessed, to talk about those people that have had to flee their countries from all over the world, not just from Syria, but from all corners of the globe.
So true.
And to lose their identity, to lose their family, to lose their sense of home, to lose their culture and their nation, and to not even feel like visitors that are welcomed in their new country, but that are oftentimes scorned and oftentimes marginalized. And
that's a hard one for us Syrians, because most Syrians had such levels of dignity, and you know, we considered ourselves the
center of the world. And,
yes, and we were the ones that took care of others when they needed help. When, you know, the Lebanon war or the Iraqi war or whatever was going on in the world, Syrians were always known that they opened their arms and their homes to others and took care of them. And this was a sense of betrayal for so many Syrians, that they felt like so many doors had closed and now they are shooed away. So yes, thank you. And I don't even know where to begin with you. And so please, what is the first thing that you would like to say to the Syrians in terms of self-therapy? What can we do? What can I do? What can everyone do? For the mother that's watching this, that has children that are having nightmares. For the wife that her husband is, no, أنا مالي مجنون. You know, that I'm not crazy. How dare you, you know, impose therapy on me? Where do we begin?
Well, like one of the simplest ideas that I find to be among the most profound, and it's even something that other mental health professionals don't quite realize, that the ways that we used to train mental health professionals to work with trauma is someone would share a tragic story of having lost their home or a family member, or having been forced to flee their country, or a natural disaster, a flood or a hurricane. And the usual response, the compassionate, empathic response, was usually a variation of the theme, oh my gosh, that must have been so terrible for you. And for many years, I've been supervising research studies with some of my PhD students that have been interviewing people that have suffered tremendous trauma. And one of the findings that's absolutely amazing, and it's maybe the one thing that I'd love to share with those people who are watching, is they did this groundbreaking study in the UK and Britain a number of years ago, where there had been this terrible disaster. It was the worst maritime disaster since the sinking of the Titanic. A ferry sunk in the English Channel, and hundreds of people perished. And understandably, the survivors were traumatized. And what this team of researchers did was they interviewed 100 of the survivors a year after this terrible disaster. So this would be the equivalent of interviewing somebody now who's in a refugee camp, or who finally is, was able to leave a refugee camp and go to their new country a year later, and they asked them a question related to how are things going right now. And not surprisingly, 1/3 of the survivors, by the way, we don't use the term victim anymore.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah,
okay.
Who wants to be a victim? Even a survivor sucks. And I don't even like to use the word survivor. I prefer to use you're the hero or the heroine of your story.
Oh,
like
I love that.
Who only wants to survive something that's difficult? So that's a key to where I'm going with this, because not surprisingly, they found 1/3 of the survivors reported that they still had major symptoms of trauma: post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, sleep disruption, self-medication with alcohol and drugs, self-medication with other kinds of bad habits, whether they're stuck online or they're whatever. But they found ways to cope that didn't really do much for their symptoms, and they were still pretty messed up. As a result, they were still depressed, they were still anxious. No big surprise. Also, not surprisingly, with your audience, that 1/3 of people just kind of moved on with their life within 3 months.
Were they denial?
Absolutely not. That it turns out that we're very resilient creatures, that we have to deal with all kinds of terrible things in our lives, whether it's death or loss or disease, or being diagnosed with some terrible health problem or financial problem, or losing your home or losing your country, or some problem with your children. 1/3 of people with any kind of psychological problem recover on their own within 3 months, and
Wow.
they move on with their life. That's just resilience. It's called hardiness, or it's called grit, or it's just resilience, that human beings have to deal with all kinds of problems in their lives. But this is what's shocking. 1/3 of the survivors reported incredible growth that occurred as a result of what they suffered.
That's what I want to focus on.
And when the psychologists said things to them like, oh my God, that must have been so terrible for you now, their response was immediately, well, a year ago it was terrible, but for a while I struggled, but I moved on with my life. I can't change anything about what happened. That's out of my control. And the idea that what doesn't kill you can make you stronger. Doesn't always, but can make you stronger. So to answer your question with this story, the single most important message that I have to offer is, just because of all the losses, all the disappointments, all the failures, all the stress, all the anxiety, all the despair, all the depression, all the problems that anyone is experiencing, there are lessons to be learned if you process them in a constructive way, and you look for the learning, and you look for the growth in the experience. Now, these survivors that reported this incredible growth that occurred as a result of terrible tragedy and loss, what do you imagine were the changes they experienced in their lives? They didn't care about material possessions anymore. They might have had successful careers before. They shifted. They decided that money beyond a certain point doesn't really mean very much. I was so ambitious and driven in my career. That doesn't matter. What matters most are relationships with my family and friends. Intimacy, that's the first priority. Even health doesn't predict successful adjustment. That people that have debilitating accidents or physical trauma, within 3 months after an accident or after a diagnosis, they tend to return to their original set point of however happy or satisfied they were before. And no amount of money can change that. So the lesson to be learned is that relationships and intimacy and love and support are everything, and also finding meaning in the experience. So a long time ago, there was a psychiatrist who wrote a book. His name was Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist who had spent time in Auschwitz in the concentration camps. Everybody in his family was murdered. He lost everybody. And he was very curious, since he was a psychiatrist, how some people gave up and why some people seem to survive, in the difference.
That is the ultimate question.
The single best-selling book in any library in the world is called Man's Search for Meaning. And the main theme of this psychiatrist is when you find meaning in your suffering, even if the meaning is to help other people, that's the turning point that allows us to turn tragedy into growth and learning.
The sacrificial lamb, that we feel that our suffering was not in vain.
Yes. That it...
Redemption.
Yes.
That is. If I can, I just want to explain to the audience what I understood from you. And that is, خلينا نعتبر إنه من 100 واحد تلت الصدمة ضلت تنهار عليهم يهريهم. تلت الثانية كانوا على أساس إنه ماشي حال هون، يعني جزء ما. التلت الثالث قفزوا أقوى ورجعوا بشكل متين أكتر، إنه هالظروف هالحالة ساعدتهم إنه تقوي نفسهم أكتر. So actually thank you, because I love that division of out of 100, 1/3 still were suffering. 1/3 were like in that mediocre
moved on with their lives.
Moved on. But 1/3 allowed that to give them that magnification of strength to go on. And that's what this channel is all about. And I want to showcase that 1/3 of people. And hopefully, between this kind of dialogue and proving it can happen, that we do increase those numbers.
And what, so what the key question then is, what determines who the 1/3 of the people are that not only survive, but becomes the heroes and the heroines of their stories? That is that instead of feeling like, because of all these losses and disappointments and all the displacement and all the depersonalization, all the racism that's going on,
the hatred,
the violence, the inept political, incompetent political leadership going on around the world, not just in Syria, but in the United States and Germany and all over the world. I mean, there's been this uprising of resentment and repressed anger from people that are losing, that fear strangers, that fear anybody that doesn't look like them or talk like them, even though, almost all of our Western countries were settled and immigrated by refugees from around the world. These are our scientists, these are our professionals, these are the people that have made our countries, what they are. And it's, the xenophobia, the fear of aliens, or, that they're different from us, is what's driven so much of the hatred and the additional problems that people are experiencing right now. And I must say that many of my colleagues in the mental health, profession, we aren't necessarily very helpful in working with these people. Mentioning the Holocaust survivors, was another really interesting study that was done that, and because in Syria there's a Holocaust going on right now. I mean, the word Holocaust, is a sacred term that's applied to one particular people, but it applies to any people that are subjected to the kind of torture and
genocide.
And it is systematic genocide, trying to wipe out a people, and it's going on. 1 million Rohingya right now in the world are being wiped out. China, in every single country of the world, it's like that. And so mental health professionals were so clueless because we have this optimistic attitude, like don't worry, you'll get over it, I'll take care of it. And what happened is that Holocaust survivors would not go back for another session after seeing a therapist for one session because their therapist, their psychologist, did not get or understand the idea that there are some things that happen in life that are so horrific, that are so terrible, that you won't recover from them. They don't go away. You can't put a Band-Aid on it and make it better. You can't pat my hand and reassure me that everything is going to be okay, because the world is not a safe place and people hate me and they want to kill me every chance they get. And that's something that people don't get. And so they would say, if you don't understand my experience where I have lost all hope in the world and you're trying to sell me a Band-Aid to fix this, give me a break.
How does the patient deal with a clinician, a therapist, that the therapist has led a very sheltered life and this person has been so extremely traumatized that there is a disconnect? How does the patient we are dealing with that.
Yeah, now what I do for a living is I train psychiatrists and psychologists to work with trauma. And most of the focus, which almost anyone can do with each other, has to do with helping people to tell their story, giving them a place to tell their story, and listening, not interrupting. Do you know the average, the answer is 35 seconds. Do you know what the question is? The question is, how long does a patient have to tell her story about what her problem is to a doctor before he or she is interrupted? 35 seconds. Wow. 90% of patients are never allowed to finish their story with a physician about what's wrong with them. Like, as soon as you start your story, you'll get a diagnosis, you'll get a prescription.
Skills.
So it's about giving people time and space to be heard and to be understood without interruption, and to honor the stories. The stories of suffering deserve to be honored, not buried.
Jeffrey, we have a struggle within our community because we just push everything away and we don't talk about the laundry, the dirty laundry. How can we get the stories out? I love the fact that the Diary of Anne Frank is a legacy of a 9-year-old girl that was stuck in an attic and she just wrote her diary. I would love for the Syrians to start documenting, dialoguing, putting things on paper and artwork that their stories can be told.
So, we talked earlier about there's no more victims of trauma anymore. And in my mind, there's no more survivors of trauma anymore. It's about it's not just a matter, so where it gets a little complicated, and I guess where psychologists and psychiatrists and social workers and mental health professionals are really helpful, is helping people to tell their story, which is often a story of shame. Because the story is about loss. It's about loss, especially among many middle class and professional people that had good jobs and nice homes.
Losing their honor. Yeah. For the Syrians, that's a big deal.
And there's so much shame. I'm helpless, I'm dependent, I gotta, get help from other people. They're shameful stories. So where it gets a little tricky is helping people to stop seeing their stories as stories of shame where they're a victim or a survivor, and instead to view their stories as being one of pride. Look what I have dealt with in my life, and I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still trying to help other people. You can summarize that.
بدي أحكي لأنه this is Lulu, this is a pearl. المشكلة إنه نحن السوريين ناخذ الكرامة والإيجو، المعزة النفس، وما بدنا نحكي أي شغلة عيب. ودكتور كوتلر عم بيقول إنه بدل ما نحس بالإحساس العيب والخجل انه ناخذها بالعكس، انه هاي الشغله رفعت من قيمتي، انه انا قاومت، انه انا قدرت فوز على هالمشكله العويصه وانه ارتفع. So taking that shame and fear and using it as pride, that look, I am strong, I overcame this horrible situation. That, how do we do that?
Well, I mean, that's where the post-traumatic growth is really interesting in terms of the change. I mean, it's somewhat ironic. I mean, we're shooting in this particular scene because of the beauty of the ocean. This is one of the most expensive places right now. There are more wealthy people within a 2-mile radius of where we are now than almost anywhere in the world. And if we went on the street, every person driving here has a Mercedes or has a Porsche or has a Ferrari or whatever. What's really interesting is that they are not any more happy with their lives as anybody else. And you got a 500 series Mercedes or whatever, that person covets a bigger, better car. There's $10 million homes right behind us. And those people are not any happier than someone that lives in a 1-bedroom apartment with 8 people in their family. Mm-hmm. That's where people, you know, and when people experience trauma or they experience losses in some way, that insight is so powerful that yes, I don't have a fancy car. Yes, I don't have a home. Yes, I can't work in my profession anymore. Yes, I have a lot of losses to grieve from. Mm-hmm. And yet, I've realized that so many of those things really don't matter as much as I thought they were. And that's like the single mistake that people make the most in our world here is people are just crave whatever they have, they want more. No matter what they have, they want something else. They want a nicer car, they want a bigger house, they want better shoes, and they think that stuff matters. Yeah. And it doesn't.
I think it was Jim Carrey that said he wishes that he could offer fame and fortune to everyone so that they can see that's not what's going to bring them happiness. Yeah. You know, so in terms of self-care, self-therapy, right now we're in a situation of emergency triage. We don't have enough Jeffrey Kottlers to help us. So in terms of immediate, like we are so desperate, what can we do today? Like what's the first step that we could do to start recognizing we have a problem? Step 1, step 2.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that's potentially so healing within Syrian culture, which is so different from the West in many ways, but so similar to the rest of the world, is that it's a collectivist culture. It's a culture that values
the village.
Yeah, and civility and taking care of each other. You know, in the West, we're so much about individualism and autonomy, and you take care of yourself, and
that's
like
right.
your tribe, you know,
we're independent.
The tribes have been disbanded, and you know, among many cultures in Latin America, in the Middle East, Southern Asia, you know, the collectivist culture is the healing. And so I remember I had been invited to Pueblo in New Mexico, New Mexico is the poorest state in the United States. Oh. They have more poverty in New Mexico because of the Indians there. And they live in these pueblos, they live in shipping containers.
Wow.
And it's 110 degrees, wow. And there's no air conditioning, and shipping containers made out of steel. And I mean, these people are beyond poor. And the kind of sexual abuse that takes place within many of the tribes because their culture has been destroyed and what I did.
And these are the American Indians.
Yeah, the American Indians.
Not on reservations.
In New Mexico, they're called pueblos, but they're reservations. Pueblo is a Spanish word meaning town or village.
Right.
And what I did, there were about 120 Indians in the room, is we just formed a circle. And all I did was say, we're open for business, tell your story of what your struggle is, tell your story of what your sharing is. And I work for a refugee resettlement agency now in Houston, Texas, where I live. And most of the work that I do with refugees parallels what I did with the Indians.
In a group.
I put them in a circle and I say, we're open for business, let's share our stories. Let's share our stories of struggle, let's share our stories of resilience. And no interruption, you don't interrupt anyone, you honor the stories that are told, you don't have to do anything with them, you just honor them. And we're all crying, we're all sobbing, you know, for each other, not just sobbing vicariously because the stories are so painful and the losses are so profound, but because of the courage that it takes for someone to own and share their story. Suhein, that's the single, I know that sounds so simple.
I love it because I'm thinking as you're saying this, that my culture truly is collective and that they can and they love talking. So now they just have to give themselves permission.
And if you want a medical reason for this, this is so incredibly fascinating. Do you know that the human brain evolved over 10,000s of years to develop a phenomenon called mirror neurons in the brain? Mirror neurons are what allow us to hear or read or see a story as if it's our own experience. So
okay.
the reason we get so attached to movies or books or characters, or the reason why we think that celebrities are our best friends, is because as far as your brain is concerned, they are your best friends. That any character you get attached to in a television show, in a movie, and you have this strong emotional reaction to them and you cry when you watch some of these stories, it's because your brain thinks it's real. So there's nothing more important than being able to share stories with each other. They are real experiences. And if you share your story and I listen with focus and concentration and intention and empathy, your story becomes my story. And I learn many, many things just from hearing your story. And it's a way that human beings evolved a way to deal with many of our fears without putting ourselves in jeopardy.
Jeffrey, I have to tell you, I was so afraid of this interview because it's you, you know, like, you know, and now you're giving me such comfort and hope that this is doable. We can fix each other and help each other through this. Like, thank you, you gave me hope.
The only thing I'd change, Suhein, about that is changing the word fixing. Because the goal isn't to fix anything. The goal is to embrace and hold.
Grow.
And hold the stories. I mean, there's one of the hardest things to teach beginning psychotherapists, you know, which is what I do, is that sometimes they feel, you know, we can't do surgery and non-medical therapists don't prescribe drugs, and they wonder, like, what good is this, having a conversation? And sometimes with profound suffering, it's metaphorically holding somebody is sometimes enough. You don't have to fix them. You just have to be fully present with them and hold them and honor them. And it doesn't sound like that's enough, but oftentimes it is enough, especially because doctors don't listen.
Jeffrey, I heard you once say this story when you were in Nepal. It was right after the earthquake, with all your work in Nepal, but this was the worst situation because you were helping, like, every 10 minutes, somebody.
A long line of people. The old man?
Yes. Can you please tell us that story? Because I remember that story and it just goes right into my heart and it just sits there and it's just like, that's all you did. So please tell us, because I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, maybe this is a good way to end too. So the situation, if you remember, if you saw Sarah's interview, who is climbing Mount Everest during the earthquake, is that there were tens of thousands of people that had died and hundreds of thousands of people that left homeless. And we were the only medical professionals that were available for hundreds of miles. People were streaming out of the countryside. Everybody was traumatized. People were throwing or killing themselves. They were throwing themselves in the river to die because the ground wouldn't stop shaking. And they just didn't understand. Every day there were 10 more earthquakes. We couldn't go inside. The monsoon rains were coming. And we had a Navy SEAL medic with us that was trying to deal with some of the medical problems. And I was trying to deal with some of the psychological trauma. There were hundreds of people lined up to come in. And the story that you triggered is that there was this one old man that was waiting patiently in line. And just as he came into my office, and my office was just a dilapidated schoolroom that was still standing, everything else in the school had fallen, And the 16-year-old girl that was serving as my translator, because I understand some Nepali, but they speak Sherpa in this part of the world near Everest. And she left the room to go to the bathroom or something. So I was left alone with this old man. And I don't speak Sherpa, and he didn't speak a word of English. And he holds out his hands. And we get really close to each other, and I look into his eyes, and his eyes are milky. Like, I don't know if he's 100 years old or 50 years old.
Cataracts, glaucoma.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he can see me, but he holds my hand and we stare in each other's eyes. We don't say a word to each other. And then at the end of 10 or 15 minutes, he says namaste, which means the spirit within me honors the spirit within you. And then he nods and he stands in line again for another session. And it just,
that is one of the most beautiful stories.
It's one of the most memorable healing experiences that I ever had in my life, because I'm thinking, what did I do for this person? And what I did was...
Your heart listened.
Yeah. And so I know this sounds simplistic, but that's often enough, is to listen to each other, to invite each other to share their stories, and to honor those stories as best that we can.
Jeffrey, you said to me that even if you just help one person, that's enough.
World.
You saved the world.
Yeah.
And so you've saved so many. We all know that. Like, you've done so much for so many people. Your work with Empower Nepali Girls, and now your work for the Syrian community. Again and again, I say on behalf of the Syrians, thank you, thank you, thank you. Shukran, Ustaz Jeffrey Kottler, for all your work, for being a human being. You know, and so we all thank you so much, and I hope you get a chance to come back and do some more interviews and help us help the others as well. I'll make you a Syrian picnic. إن شاء الله يكون عجبكم الأول مقابلة مع دكتور جيفري كوتلر، وإن شاء الله نقدر نهدي بعض إمكانية السمع، نسمع من قلب لقلب. وهي أحسن معالجة. يعني كل العلم وكل الكتب and all the books in the world رجع لشغلة بسيطة، وهي إنه القلب يسمع القلب. Very simple، كتير بسيطة. So نرجع للإنسانية. So سلام.